How did you take all this archival footage and organize it the way you did in chapters?
Well, what we did initially was, in looking through the archival, we did it by decade. So anything that he did in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we had it by decade. And as we started to tell a story in chapters, Hoofer, Impressionist, Singer, we went to that material where we thought he did the best singing, the best dancing.
Sammy was show business from the tip of his toes to the top of his head.
We had a wealth of material, but we were very judicious in making sure we selected the right stuff. He could sing, he could dance, he could act, he could do impressions. He's a hell of a comedian, He could play instruments. He was a great drummer. He's a phenomenal drummer, He could play piano, he could play trumpet. This guy was multi-talented. I mean, he really was a talented man.
Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bojangles, come back and dance.
His gift was his talent. The curse was being black in America.
It's no fun to walk into a place you're going to play and be told that we've had 14 bomb threats.
I think when it came to politics for Sammy, it wasn't so much he had strong political affiliations. He wasn't like Harry Belafonte. He was a guy that if someone said, "Sammy, we like you, we want you to come to the White House and entertain," if you could be Richard Nixon or even Donald Trump, Sammy probably would have gone. I mean, I don't think he was strongly political. I think he felt everything was emotional with Sammy. Him going to Vietnam, it wasn't about being pro or con Vietnam. He wanted to go just to entertain the soldiers. When he was invited to the White House, the idea that the president, whoever it was, of the United States, would invite him to the White House, that he could sleep in the Lincoln bedroom, to him, he had made it. So I don't think Sammy, in some ways, I think Sammy was sort of naive politically,
Did you know Sammy Davis Jr.?
Never met him, just as a young man growing up in Harlem. Saw him on television, saw him in Ocean's 11, Sergeant's 3, Robin and the Seven Hoods, but never had the opportunity to see his shows or see him in person.
Did you ever get a sense of who he enjoyed performing with most?
I think it's Sinatra. I think Sammy Davis Jr., he loved and worshipped Frank Sinatra. I mean, if you go back and you look at those pictures of Sinatra in the 40s with the big bow tie and the suits, and you go and look at Sammy Davis Jr. from that same period, he was doing the same thing.
What was the biggest surprise in putting this movie together for you? Whether it's somebody that you talked to or how you put it together?
There's two big surprises. The first big surprise was, as I said to you, I thought he was a good tap dancer, but when I saw that one sequence with the two drummers from that clip from the 1950s, to me it was just phenomenal. The other big surprise, which is not in the film because we couldn't get it in, was that Billy Crystal, when he started out as a young comedian, one of his first gigs was to be the opening act for Sammy Davis Jr.
He was a wonderful, one-of-a-kind comet that flew past the Earth way too quickly.